The legendary flying and dragon type Pokemon Rayquaza is now back in raid battles. And believe it or not, this boss is the easiest legendary that you can duo. Of course, when it comes to legendaries and mythicals, there's one other Pokemon that's actually easier to defeat than Rayquaza, but that is of course the Deoxys attack form. And that Pokemon you can actually solo, so I'm not going to be counting it here. So what that means is that Rayquaza is by far the easiest boss that you can duo. But of course you will need to meet certain conditions and you will need the exact right team. So that's what I'm going to be covering in today's video. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. And how's it going, everyone? It's me, It's Count here with another raid guide video for you. Today I'm going to be covering Rayquaza, the legendary flying and dragon type Pokemon that is a fan favorite. A lot of people are looking for this particular Pokemon. And of course Rayquaza does have a Mega Evolution, it does have a shiny form that you could potentially get. This is a Pokemon you do not want to miss out on. Even if you have a good Rayquaza, shiny Rayquaza is one Pokemon that frequently comes up in lucky trades, so you could definitely have a bunch of those as trade chips. Now for me personally, I have a Shundo Rayquaza which I got through a lucky trade, so of course lucky trades are where it's at. If you want a really good Rayquaza and you don't end up getting it during raid battles, well, you could actually get one through a trade, so do keep that in mind. And of course Rayquaza is the easiest boss that you can duo, and that means you should be able to get a whole bunch of them. Now, in order to duo Rayquaza, you will need a team of all ice types. Now the reason why I say ice types is of course because Rayquaza is both flying type and dragon type. Both of these types are weak against ice types, which means you will have double the super effectiveness going up against this boss. The absolute best ice types that you should be bringing is of course Mamoswine with Powder Snow and Avalanche, and of course Weavile with ice type moves. These are both the heaviest hitters when it comes to ice types, and when it comes to Rayquaza, you do not necessarily need too much TDO, considering that all of his moves are flying types and dragon type moves. This means your ice types will be able to resist a majority of his attacks. But of course when it comes to Rayquaza, his hardest hitting moveset is of course Dragon Tail and Outrage, and this may actually cause you to go to a team 2. But in general, because Rayquaza is a glass cannon, you will be able to defeat him pretty easily as long as you have a full team of Mamoswines and Weaviles. Now something I wanted to point out is the fact that a majority of us did pick up a Shadow Mewtwo over Pokemon Go Fest, and this Pokemon is actually a really strong opener up against Rayquaza. The reason for that is of course because not only is Shadow Mewtwo the highest DPS Pokemon that we can have right now, but it does have access to the move Ice Beam. Ice Beam is of course a really powerful ice type move that you could use against Rayquaza, and it's going to chunk down a ton of damage before Rayquaza takes out your Shadow Mewtwo. Therefore, having Shadow Mewtwo as your opener will allow you to dish out a lot of opening damage, which will allow you to comfortably move on to your Mamoswines and take down this boss. Now in terms of what conditions you will need, you do not need a weather boost, but having any kind of boost is always going to be really helpful. If you are fighting Rayquaza in snowy weather, you will be able to dish out just a lot more damage and take him down in a much faster rate of time. And of course, any kind of friendship bonuses is always going to help. If you are best buddies with the person you are raiding with, then that is definitely going to contribute to a much faster kill. But really, you do not need those kind of bonuses up against this boss. You may need to be at least level 29 or level 30 in order to dish out just enough damage, but yeah, you can definitely defeat this boss with the minimum amount of effort as possible. Now in terms of Rayquaza himself, he gets boosted by only one weather type, and that is of course Windy Weather. Windy Weather will boost his flying type and dragon type attack moves, but you do not need to worry about it too much, considering that not only is Windy Weather a very rare weather boost, but at the same time his moves are not necessarily the problem. It's always going to be the timer. But when it comes to Rayquaza, you do not have to worry about the timer, considering that his defense stats and his HP stats are lower than usual. So that means you will be able to take down this boss so long as you have the right counters. If you are looking for that Hundo Rayquaza or that Shundo Rayquaza, the CP that you will want will be 2191. And if it's weather boosted, you will want one that is 2739. These are your perfect catch CPs if you want a Hundo Rayquaza. And yeah, the more you farm this Pokemon, the higher your chances of picking up that Hundo. And like I mentioned at the top of this video, this is one of the most highly coveted Pokemon in Pokemon GO right now. Not only is it the best dragon type that you could use in raid battles, but this Pokemon does have a Mega Evolution, which means it's going to be highly coveted. A lot of players are going to be looking for this Pokemon, so make sure you stock up on those shinies and all of those Pokemon that you could potentially use in trades. And if you are still looking for a really good one, then definitely target this Pokemon in trades. A lot of people will be stocked up on this Pokemon, and I highly suggest you continue to trade until you pick up that Hundo or that Shundo. It's definitely going to make a huge impact once Mega Evolutions comes out. Now let's say you do not have a full team of really good Mamoswine or Weaviles, or you do not have a Shadow Mewtwo with Ice Beam. Well, there are a bunch of secondary options that you can consider. Glaceon is a really powerful Ice type Pokemon. It may not necessarily be top tier, but it's definitely usable going up against Rayquaza. Will you still be able to duo it with Glaceon? Yes, I believe so, but that'll depend on your trainer level. And of course, if you have regular Mewtwo's with Ice Beam, those are also going to do really well against Rayquaza. And in spite of what the suggestion and the recommended Pokemon may be, I highly suggest you avoid using any dragon types unless you are using Dialga. Dialga is pretty decent, but I would say that when it comes to the damage output, you really can't ignore that double super effectiveness from ice types. Those are definitely going to give you the win more assuredly than if you were to use a whole bunch of dragon types. So do keep that in mind. Ice types reign supreme going up against Rayquaza. And also something you need to consider is that Rayquaza could potentially get even easier in the future as more and more Pokemon come out. Of course, right now, Mamoswine and Weavile are your best DPS options for ice types, but there's certainly other Pokemon that could come out in the future that could dethrone these Pokemon as the best ice types. Of course, the Alolan ice form of Darmanitan is also a really strong and powerful ice type. There's so many different options when it comes to ice types that you should have no problem at all taking down this boss. But yeah, like I said, in the future it could become even easier, so do keep that in mind. Take that as something that you could look forward to. Now, I've certainly said this in past videos, but I'm really happy with the fact that this boss is easily duoable. I feel like with everything that's currently been going on when it comes to the quarantines and with people's capabilities of actually raiding, the easier the boss is, the better it is for the community. And when it comes to Rayquaza, it is definitely that. It is a boss that you could easily two-man, and you could defeat it with the most minimum amount of trainers as possible. And of course, this Pokemon is highly coveted, so it's definitely going to be a nice trade chip. So I really wish Niantic would tune their legendary bosses to be more in line with Rayquaza. I think their raid activity would be much higher. I think they could generate a lot more revenue, but in any case, yeah, take full advantage of Rayquaza while it's out in raid battles. We will not have a boss that's as easy as Rayquaza for quite some time. Rayquaza is definitely a super easy boss to defeat, and it's definitely one that you could farm up a whole bunch of rare candies, a whole bunch of Stardust with, so it's definitely one you should go out and farm. Now, when it comes to Rayquaza, he's easy enough that he could actually potentially be soloed, and there is people that have actually soloed this raid boss, but I highly suggest you do not attempt this because you need the absolute perfect conditions in order to solo it. But yeah, that is something that is a possibility, so you could look up on how to do that. I'm not necessarily going to tell you how to solo this raid boss because I myself have never done it, but yeah, it is actually easy enough for you to even solo. I think what you need is like the exact right weather boost, the exact right team, and the exact right timing. Yeah, I just think it's way too complex to actually attempt, but hey, if you want a really nice raid challenge, yeah, this boss is potentially soloable, so definitely go at it. But yeah, with that, I'm gonna close off this raid guide video. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think about Rayquaza? Do you have a really nice shiny Rayquaza? Definitely share your wins down below. Have you two-man this boss? Definitely share your strategies and your different tips as well. And yeah, that's gonna be it. I really hope you enjoyed it. I am Count Jinsula. Be safe, and I'll catch you all later.